Hello, backpackers. This is Juan from Juan Backpacks. I'm here to talk about the Zenbivy pack liner. This one happens to be a medium. It's 21 liters. I've got a loadout in here that we're going to unpack at the very end to show exactly how much can be compressed into this dry bag. One of the unique features of this dry bag is the one-way valve, where you can squish everything down. Once you put it in there, squish it down and then roll it down tight and even squish it some more, because you can push the air out through here rather than have the air trapped. That's something that I really was looking for when I moved to this dry bag, because other dry bags, even my Nylofoam bag, which I really like because it's super light, I have a really hard time getting it really compressed down when I need extra room on my pack, and I know the gear can be pressed down even more than I'm able to do it, and then the air goes right back into it again. This is a way with the one-way valve, you squish the air out and it really doesn't come back in very easily. It will, but over time, but it doesn't do it very easily. Let's take a look at this gear. Again, this gear is my gear that I typically use here in the Northeastern, like in Pennsylvania, in the fall, spring, and summer. This would be a typical summer loadout for me in the Sierra Mountains when I travel out there. As a matter of fact, this is a test loadout for my Sierra trip this summer. Let's take a look and see how big this packs down inside here. So we've got 13 inches, remember that number, 13 inches wide by about 9 inches high. So we got about 9 inches high by 13 inches wide. And I got to tell you, I didn't really work really hard at compressing this down. It could probably compress down a little bit more, not much, but a little bit more than it is right now. So this particular bag, as I said, is a medium. That is a 21 liter bag. One of the things you want to think about when you're purchasing one of these, or you're using some kind of pack liner that's like a dry bag pack liner, is that you need to have at least 3 rolls in a dry bag to make it waterproof. At least 3 minimum. That's something that I carry forward from my days of whitewater kayaking and kayaking. I was a kayak instructor, and so that was kind of one of our rules of thumb. 3 rolls down, yes, good to go. Less than 3, then we got to think about something else, a bigger dry bag. So think about, if you're going to go this route, think about the form factor, how big your gear is and how far it can be compressed down. I've got a pretty dialed in ultralight kind of setup, and so a lot of my gear is selected so that it uses less room and I can pack it down really small. The other thing you want to think about is the weight. This is heavier than Nylofoam. It's probably about 2 ounces heavier than a Nylofoam bag. So this is like 3.2 ounces, I think, 3.7 ounces. I think it's like 3.2. So it's about 2 ounces, maybe a little bit less, heavier than a Nylofoam bag. That's something to consider. But the trade-off for me is that I can compress my gear down. So when I need a little bit extra room in my 38 liter Nero backpack and I need to fit a BV 450 in there with it, a Bear Vault 450 Bear can in the Sierra, I can actually put all my gear in here, compress it down more than enough to fit my BV 450, which does about 4 days of food or so for me. So compress really down, way down. You can see the bottom on it. I like it really well because it's got this nice flat bottom. It's kind of sized to the pack. Once I've compressed this down, I can just slip it into my Nero. That means I can pull it back out at the end of the day. I can, if it's raining, I can just take all this stuff that needs to be dry, throw it in my tent real quickly, and nothing really gets wet. So let's take a closer look at what's on the inside. Again, that one-way valve is huge. You can push, 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 squeeze out the air, push this way, squeeze out the air. So you can see it's pretty, I mean, there's not much air left in there, but let's take a look and see what's in this thing. Again, this is a typical loadout for me here in the Northeast in the summer, fall, and spring, and then also into the Sierra in the summer only. So let's see what's in here in this 9 by 13 package. Whew, you can see already when I open this up, you can see how the volume immediately is increasing here. Look how big this has gotten already, just as soon as I let the top off. It is now literally well, not quite 16 yet. It's like 15 inches high now, and then it's still the same width. It's about 14 inches wide now. So it's starting to expand in many different ways. It's like 9 inches this way now. So it's beginning to expand in many different ways. You can see there's a rigid top on here, kind of this rubberized stuff that's pretty rigid, and that helps with your rolling. Again, you want to make sure when you're using any dry bag that you get 3 rolls in it, because that means that it's more or less going to be waterproof for you. That's a rule of thumb that I used in the past when I was whitewater kayaking. I was an instructor in a kayak instructor, and just generally kayaking, teaching my classes. I taught people 3 rolls, and typically your dry bag's going to keep the water out. Anything less than that, then you got to look about moving up. This thing comes in 3 different sizes. It comes in a small, medium, and large. The medium, as I said, I think earlier I said this, is 21 liters. And again, let's take a look and see what I can fit into this, because the way I can compress it. Man, it's the volume's growing all the time here. Let's see, it's up to, it's still about 15 inches. Let's take a look here and see what we got. So inside here, I got a little hat and a little small gloves in here, in this little package. I got my puffy in here. It's a Kuyu down puffy, 850 fill. It squishes down pretty small. So we got a puffy in here. Put that over there. What else do we got in here? Good grief. Oh, good grief. Got a sleeping pad in there too. So this is my Nemo all season sleeping pad. It's about 18 ounces. And then what else I got? Oh, my pillow's in here. So I got my pillow. And then I got some clothing in here that I would typically carry with me. Again, this is actually a loadout that I use in the spring and fall here in Pennsylvania, and then also in the summer in the Sierra. And so I've got an extra pair of sleep socks. I got an extra pair of hiking socks in there. Got an extra pair of underwear in there that I take with me. I've got a Kuyu mid layer here, mid 97 Peloton fleece it's called. So this mid layer in there. So this is all the extra clothing I take. I've got my my hikers, like kind of this Outdoor Vitals makes this. It's a hiking kind of I think they're called Highline trail, tights or something like that. And so I've got those in there. I use them for sleeping and for hiking when it's really cold. You can see the pile's getting big over there. What else I got in here? An extra sleep shirt. This is just a sun shirt that's got no hood on it, and short sleeve just for sleeping in, or I can use it for an extra shirt if I want to. And then in here I also have a quilt, which is my 30-degree quilt. I might substitute in here a 20-degree quilt when I go in the Sierra, but it's not going to change the volume that much. And so there's my 20-degree quilt. So you can see a 21-liter, the 21-liter Zenbivy bag with the little one-way valve on it to squish out the air, helps me pack down all this gear into what I say it was a 9 by 13 inch compact kind of wad of clothing and so forth. And then it gives me a lot of room in my pack for other gear that I'm going to use and throw in there. So again, Zenbivy, love this thing. I hope it works out. It's a little bit heavier, as I said. I'm giving up about 2 ounces to get a trade-off to get my gear compressed down more, which to me is worth the 2 ounces. And so that is my Zenbivy pack liner. That's all I got for you today. So get out there, do some backpacking. Do some hiking at least. Stop watching YouTube videos, unless they're mine. Then watch them all from start to finish, and you'll get good stuff like this and see good stuff like this. All right, backpackers, later.